Hello and welcome to the Avrum Rosensweig Show.
Welcome to one of the internet's best podcasts, where we dive deep into the lives of the extraordinary and fascinating people who leave an indelible mark on our world. Join us as we explore their captivating stories, remarkable achievements, and unique perspectives that shape history and inspire generations. Get ready to embark on a journey through the lives of inspiring people unlike any other.
Hello, folks, and welcome to the show. My name is Avrum Rosensweig, and I am here with my colleague and friend, Rabbi Shlomo Gemara, for our series called Torah in Real Time. How are you, Rabbi?
Baruch Hashem, Chanukah Sameach to all the listeners. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing very well. I think that probably like most Jews in the world, though, I have a pain in my tummy, as to what's going on in the world in general and also more specifically in Australia. What was your response when you heard about that?
You know what? First of all, I have to say that I thought about Jews all over the world.
Yeah.
Because I do believe that this was expected. I think we could expect after such a wave of anti-Semitic words and propaganda, there will be always someone who will take the gun to his or their hands. But more concerning even than the terrible shooting in Australia and 15 people killed and so many injured. And the national morale is hurting. Listen, what's the difference between Canada and Australia? What is the difference between New York and Australia? We all one community. Maybe we live in different places, but what we suffer over the last 2 years is quite the same in every Jewish community. And you know what? I actually thought to go to the Adlakat Nerot here in Toronto, the public one, and I decided not to do so because not that I caved to terror, but I have to be very honest. I cannot trust the security provided to the Jewish community by the authorities. I will say it straightforward.
Yeah, go further with that. How do you mean?
Well, I saw the pictures in Australia. You know what? Like free range shooting, not intervened by the police. And when the police arrived, I must say it looked like they are completely novices. They are completely incapable of taking action. And this concerns me. This concerns me a lot because where everything is okay, then the presence of the police seems to be fine. But here is something that is happening. Two people, after all, using quite old guns. If you know something about like guns and their mechanism, these are not like modern guns. Thank God, I would say, because if it was fully automated gun, we would talk about like dozens of people who were killed. Not that I want to minimize the tragedy in any way. And no policemen around. Now, I hear that there was a police station not far away from the beach. And until they arrive, until they knew what to do, it's very frightening. It's very scary. I hope that at least here in Toronto, the Canadian forces are better trained and equipped.
I will tell you that the police turnout for our rallies has been quite substantial. And there's a fellow by the name of Giddy Mammon, who had a rally here for 2 years at Shepherd and Bathurst. And I know Giddy from university, and we've spoken many times about those rallies. And he told me that there were over 100 policemen that were posted almost every single week. Montreal's not the same, but from what I understand, that Toronto is more adept add security for the Jewish community. Not everybody would agree with me, but my sense is that they are making an effort.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I think that everyone has to be like very alert. I would just say the following, just a thought. A 100 policemen to protect a few Jews. So that means that they see a potential, a, a serious potential here. We are not talking about two, three policemen that will be okay. 100 policemen, like what is it for? That means that in their mind, the potential for a dangerous event is quite high. Listen, this is a lot of money. You have to move police that have a lot to do, except of keeping the peace between Palestinians and pro-Israel demonstrators. They have work to do. They were not hired just for this demonstration, and you would not move 100 policemen and dozens of cars that I saw, and I appreciate it. I have to say, here in school, we see police all the time. It used to be that 10 years ago, when a policeman came to the school, we sent a letter to the parents to explain that nothing happened. It's just like a regular event. Today, actually, if parents come and don't see a policeman, they would call the school, hey, what happened? So that give you some idea about what changed in our communal life. But again, if you think that one side of a demonstration might cause such a disturbance to a peaceful life in Toronto, don't let them come. Simply don't
Yes.
let them come. And the police
Yep.
know very, very well that the potential here is already proven that in certain places there was vandalism, mistreating people who were walking by. So don't allow certain people to demonstrate. It's not against the free speech. There are many opportunities here for free speech, and I'm not saying that we should not hear and listen to people who think different than us. But if they contain a threat to the peaceful of the public, with all due respect, don't bring 100 policemen. Just tell them, no, you cannot demonstrate in the middle of Butters and Shepherd. With all due
Right.
respect.
Right. Rabbi, in that light, I am sensing, perhaps correctly, perhaps not, that there is a backlash in the world happening against fundamentalist Islam. And I've seen it in Germany, I've seen it in Italy, New Zealand, I'm seeing it in Australia. There's a pushback on these protests and the imposition of Sharia law or aspects of it on those communities. I don't think, though, that it's predicated on fighting anti Semitism. I don't. I think that people, Christians, are saying that you're messing with my Christmas market. You're telling me that I can't put up a Christmas tree. I am a Christian. This is a Christian country. I'm not going to allow you to do that. And I was thinking to myself during the Second World War, when the Allies went to Europe and fought Hitler and ultimately defeated Hitler, was it to help the Jewish people out or was it to maintain democracy? So, as my mother used to say, these things do not end with the Jewish people, and I think you're seeing this overflow right now. I think that extremists have pushed too far, which is what they do. And I feel like there is a pushback. Do you have that sense at all?
Listen, I'm not an expert to what is happening in the world. And to be honest with you, our information comes from social media, from mainstream media. I don't trust any of them because the problem with media is that it's all biased. And even when they show you what happened, you don't know the context, you don't know the real size of things. They will tell you about tens of thousands of people go to demonstration. Is it true? Is it that many? Is it sometimes today, even with AI, you can explode the number of things? So I don't trust anything I see and hear. I have to be very honest about it. And the pushback, well, maybe yes, maybe not. I think for the West, it's too late for too many countries. And I think that it's the first time, maybe in the history of the world, that we welcome in people that threaten our existence. Now, I want to be very, very clear, Avrum. I'm not talking about, I don't want to generalize. There are wonderful Muslim people, and in many, many ways, I have to say that my values are closer to them rather than many Christians around
Christians, yeah.
in terms of family, monotheism, the way we treat the community, the idea of tzedakah is common to our community and their community. There are wonderful things about any religion and about Islam too. No questions about this one. But what we see is a new understanding of Islam, a very political one, that threaten the free world. We have to be very honest about it. That's the pushback, I guess, that you are talking about. But you can do pushback when you have a 1% or 2% of radicals, you can contain it. If we are going to pass a 5% of radical people, and if we're going to exceed numbers that in Europe today, some countries who you call Christians and European for centuries and millennia become with 20% of immigrants with very different culture. Well, what can you do now? The genie is out of the bottle.
Rabbi, localizing this more so, you're in a very unique position. Excuse me. Of working in a school with over 1,500 students. God bless them. I think a lot of people wonder the effects on young people when a terrorist attack, such as what occurred in Australia this past week, happens. What is your immediate response as an administration?
Okay, number one, heightened security. Very simple. You don't want to take any risk when now you know that there are crazy people or not so crazy people who deliberately try to target Jews. I think we cannot minimize it. Maybe after I will finish my answer, we will talk a little bit about the concept of Hanukkah and the
Yes.
danger that is luring to the Jewish community, which is an old story. We will talk about it in a second. So, first response: heightened security. We had two beautiful assemblies in the school. First of all, solidarity with our brothers and sisters everywhere in the world, especially now in Australia. Short assembly, tfilot, El Maleh Rachamim, talking about the message of Hanukkah, which is, listen, when we sing Mao Tzu Yeshuati, we talk about all the crises, the big crises in Jewish history. What happened in Egypt and what happened with the Greeks and what happened with the Assyrians and what happened with Haman in Shushan. The Jewish people, I would say, unfortunately, are used to major crises in the life of Jews all over the world. But we sing Mao Tzu, we still light the candles, no matter what. That's by itself a very strong message of resilience. So we work on security, resilience, spirit, light, dispel darkness. This is what we have to do as educators, as administrators, as Jews.
A lot of people have been asking me whether there is a move towards helping young people learn more about self-defense, like Krav Maga. Does that happen in your school?
I did not hear, but I have to say that for the last 5 years, I advocate in many of our meetings we have to encourage students for Krav Maga. Krav Maga, the beauty of Krav Maga is that you don't go to the streets and beat people. But if they beat you, you know what to do. And I think this is important. You cannot think that what you read on Instagram and Twitter and or X today will stay there. It's not. Words leads to actions. And we saw it in Australia. We have to prepare here in Canada. Halevai, let's wish that we will never use it. But I would like myself to learn some techniques of self-defense, and I certainly would love young people to be able to protect themselves and their families.
Yeah, I would respectfully say that I think that each and every Jewish school in our city and across the country and far and wide needs to teach our young people self-defense. It's necessary in our day and age. There's no question about it.
Yeah, I completely agree with it. I don't know if schools will do it for all kinds of reasons, but as parents, if I would have a child in the age of anything between 5, 6 to 20, I would encourage them to learn Krav Maga.
Totally agree. Rabbi, I want to just mention before we talk about Hanukkah for a few minutes and then launch into Torah in real time. This past week, I interviewed an Israeli fellow. His name is Nir Amitai. Nir is a major in the IDF reserves, or IAF. And he is a magnificent human being who decided at some point in time, after going through a terrorist attack on Dizengoff, and he lost his very best friend, Shimmy, God bless his soul, that he was going to do something special to help other people who had gone through what he had gone through, which was post-traumatic stress disorder. He launched farms in the Negev called Rimon Farms. And essentially the idea behind it is bring the earth to people who are troubled, who are suffering from PTSD, and have them rehabilitate through touching the earth, through planting seeds, through harvesting. He's a magnificent human being.
I actually visited the place.
Oh, you did visit it?
Pundak Rimon, absolutely. It was established. There was a very legendary, I don't know if it still exists, a midpoint between Beersheba and Eilat that was established by one of the legends of the army, Kushi Rimon. That was his name. A very colorful guy, not exactly the run-of-the-mill of the civil, I would say, obedience and so on. He was involved in all kinds of issues. I think he passed away a few years ago. And I do know that in the place where there was a pundak, an inn, and when you are between Beersheba and Eilat and it's a hot day, you will pay any price for a good Arctic for like a popsicle. He himself indeed built a place that everyone is welcome. So many troubled teenagers, so many troubled people who could not find their place. They just came, he hosted them, gave them the tent to live there. And then he realized indeed that he really realized that let them do something productive is very, very helping to restore their confidence, their identity. So I think this is Shimon Rimon, like Kushi. His name was Kushi. So it's very interesting that this guy apparently took it over because Kushi passed away a few years ago. So I guess that he continues this idea.
Yeah, I tell you something. I am absolutely amazed. The more I interview Israelis, and I'm meeting some fascinating Israelis about the spirit, the neshama of that nation. And I haven't, as of yet, put it into words, Rabbi, as to what exists there as the soulfulness of that country, which, has its dark side as well. But in terms of its creativity, its development, its innovation, I'm absolutely amazed by what the Israelis are accomplishing. Amazed.
You should be amazed. And honestly, like if people would go to Israel and talk to 10 people, 8 of them will be extraordinary. The other 2, nice, productive people, which is amazing. I get to my WhatsApp just for my family. We are talking about like 20 something people. Every day they talk about like it's tzedakah. This morning I got from my sister, who is a hematologist in Hadassah in Karim, like an urgent request to send to the people I know to come and to donate blood because there is a shortage of blood in Israel. And within seconds, like, everyone sent to his friends, and we are talking about dozens of friends, and
Yes.
people are going, like they leave everything. They are going to places where the WhatsApp show you the map and go to give blood. It's free. Like they don't get money for this. They leave behind work that they have to do, and they go to blood. Yesterday, my niece sent me something about like a new initiative in the Galil. Someone is building places for navigating soldiers. Usually at night, they are just sleeping, on the dirt, sometimes with mud. So they just decided to put some a temporary building so they can sleep like a mensch. They can have a shower.
Yes. Yes.
So people are doing things. Israel is a vibrant place. The Jewish people are giving people. That's why it so hurt me to read
Yeah.
about us, like from people who never spoke to a Jew and describing us as like the lowest people on earth, when we really know who we are, giving, nice, kind, helping
Agreed.
everywhere, people that really like could be a role model for the entire people on the globe, how to live productive and meaningful life.
Oh, Rabbi, so I can't agree with you more, and I have so much to say on that. And I would simply ask our viewers, go to my podcast, the one that I do outside of this one at the Avrum Rosensweig show, because I am interviewing some amazing Jewish people. And also, Rabbi, I must tell you something. I'm also interviewing friends of the Jewish people. Peter Wiley, who's 80 years old, former cop in Toronto, a boxer aficionado. He wrote a letter to our prime minister as well as the chief of police about what's going on in our city vis-a-vis Australia. And it was a magnificent letter full of heart and full of friendship for the Jewish people, appreciating who we are. And I am fortunately finding many more people out there who are willing to step forward and see us for our real essence, which, as you just said, is kindness, is innovation, it's creativity, it's all of that. Rabbi, before we move forward on Torah in real time, just a little bit about Hanukkah. Hanukkah began as a celebration of the rededication of the Second Temple in Jerusalem after its desecration. Early observance emphasized Thanksgiving, Hallel, and the restoration of Jewish worship rather than gift giving or home rituals. Rather than going into the halachic side of it or the historical, I'm much more interested in you personally. Okay. Do you have specific traditions, specific menorah that you've used for many, many years? What happens in your family or when your kids were younger on Hanukkah itself?
It became a very well celebrated holiday, which is very, very interesting. So, obviously, listen, at the end of the day, it's only a rabbinic holiday. It's not mentioned in the Torah. And however, the light, especially when it's so depressing with the short days and long nights. So light bring you some, just the light itself bring you something very inspirational. But with the kids around the menorah, singing the Mausur, usually a nice meal around the table, playing with the dreidels, all this create an atmosphere that people remember for the rest of their life. Hanukkah, I believe, is the most beloved holiday of all. You don't have to eat certain matzot. You can eat donuts and latkes, and who isn't. Uh, and the the weight watchers can wait until for 8 days until you start the diet, of course, and to eat less. So yeah, lots of fun, lots of family, friends, Usually it coincides with the winter break, so it makes it even more meaningful.
Did you see that candles were being lit by Chayalim in Gaza?
Beautiful, isn't it? But
Yes.
not only in Gaza, all over the world. Like people see the beauty of it. Today, before I left my class, I showed them a beautiful video in Germany,
Yeah.
in Brandenburg Gate, where the Prime Minister of Germany came to light the Chanukia, which to me is maybe the greatest miracle, more than the miracle of the oil.
Yes.
A place, Germany, that tried to kill us all, to forget what a Jew means. Hitler already thought about places where he's going to have like a museum for the Jewish people who lived and no more. And today, the Chanukiah, the menorah, is lit in front of hundreds of people. To me, in Germany, it's to me it's unbelievable. It's a victory of the Jewish spirit over everything that we went through.
Amen. Rabbi, I want to add to that that there was a program or an operation that was started a few years ago by a Jewish fellow, actually, sort of called Operation Menorah. And it was to encourage non Jews to light menorahs in their windows, as one is supposed to, so that they can show unity with the Jewish people. It's very, very rampant right now in Australia after the attack. What's interesting, Rabbi, is, and I have a problem with this, I don't know if you do or not, there are Jews who are critical of it. They're saying that's ours, it's our mitzvah, it's our chiyuv, it's not the chiyuv, the obligation of the non-Jew. To me, what are you talking about? They're showing friendship. Leave it alone. What's up with that?
I completely agree with you. It's so sad. Um, in a world that we have friends and true and loyal friends, to discourage them. Okay, if they would come to ask me if it's a mitzvah, if they should say a bracha or not, I would say, okay, maybe yes, maybe not. You know what? But I think we have to be fascinated by it. It's an amazing thing that we have friends which are not Jewish, and they
Embrace
feel
it.
the
Embrace it.
solidarity, and they look for ways to be with us. I'm sorry for the announcement here, Avrum.
No, it's okay. It brings the spirit of your school to us, Rabbi. Last question before we move forward. As a rabbi, and I know you don't like you don't see yourself as a posek, but I remember learning in yeshiva that one should not place their menorah in the window during b'shas hatzchak, during dangerous times. Would you say that's the case today?
That's a very interesting question, because yesterday was the first time that, like, for a few seconds, it entertained my mind. Maybe I should not lit the menorah next to the window.
Yes.
Um, you know what? Unfortunately, the story in Australia is telling us that we are not out of the wood yet. We are not out of the makom sakana. The world became again a dangerous place for Jews. We have to acknowledge it. We have to think about it. We have to internalize it. Um, of course, at the end, I didn't. I did put the Chanukiah, the menorah, next to my door openly so everyone can see it. But I can understand the concern here. Absolutely, I can. And our sages knew the situation when they say that, yes, the mitzvah is to put it next to the door, but these days, because of the sakana, you should light it in the house, and this will be only for your family and not to share with the public. Although the basic of the mitzvah is pirsum enisa, to publicize the miracle. So you take a major element of it and you put it in within four walls, and you don't share it with the public. But we always appreciate the value of life, and in places of danger, we say, well, the most important thing is not to expose yourself to any danger. So if you ask me if I would advocate or suggest or pasken if someone will come to me to uh, to do the mitzvah in the house and not next to the door. This year, I would say, I don't know how you feel, but if you feel that it exposes you to danger, well, the halacha allow you to put it in the house. And yes, if you are more brave, and we are still in Canada, we are still in Toronto, it's quite a safe place for Jews. Well, put it in the door like I do. But obviously, it's more ambiguous than usual. Yes.
Okay, Rabbi, let's launch into the Parsha. Thank you for that. This week's Torah portion, Parashat Miketz, opens with one of the most vivid narratives in all of Genesis. The dreams of Pharaoh, Joseph's rise from prison to power, and his appointment as Egypt's chief minister. At first glance, Miketz reads like political theater. It's full of dreams, strategy, famine, and the sudden elevation of an outsider. But classical rabbinic tradition teaches us that Miketz is not merely about ancient politics. It is about the human capacity to confront crisis with wisdom, foresight, and moral clarity. Joseph's interpretation of Pharaoh's dream, predicting 7 years of plenty, followed by 7 years of famine, does more than decode a vision. It reveals a deep ethical principle: the responsibility of leadership to plan for scarcity, protect the vulnerable, and steward shared resources. The Torah emphasizes not just survival, but organizing society in a way that carries the burden of the many and not only of the few. Joseph's administrative genius really models foresight, gathering grain in abundance so that when the inevitable drought arrives, food can be distributed to all. As we read Miketz this year, our hearts and minds are inevitably drawn to the tragedies and the challenges shaping our own times. On December 14th, a terrorist attack struck a Jewish community of gathering near Bondi in Sydney, Australia. A horrific act of violence that claimed the lives of many and wounded dozens more during what should have been a time of light and celebration. Authorities have described the incident as anti-Semitic terrorist assault clearly, sparking national mourning and urgent calls for unity and action against hatred. At the same time, global food insecurity is deepening, with millions facing acute hunger driven by conflict, climate shocks, economic instability, and weakened aid networks. Humanitarian agencies warn that over 318 million people are currently experiencing crisis-level hunger, with children and displaced families among the hardest hit. In Miketz, famine is not just a backdrop. It is the catalyst for transformation. Joseph's leadership reminds us that scarcity, whether of food or of human dignity, calls for collective, organized, ethical response. His management of resources during years of plenty stands as an ancient model for dealing with modern parallels, how societies anticipate crisis, distribute what is scarce, care for the most vulnerable, and resist self-serving impulses that fracture communities. Rabbi, Yosef is a very complex figure in the Torah. And I think the fact that there are a number of parshiot that are dedicated to his life, his leadership, what he accomplished, and the moral aspect of how he lived his life is reflected of the importance of Yosef. In really simple terms, what is your take of this man? What is your feeling of this biblical character?
I would say one important thing. I think that Yosef characterized many leaders that grew up in the diaspora, away from their homeland. And you can read about them in the Bible, people like Daniel, people like Nehemiah, like Ezra, who hold lots of power, a person like Mordechai that we read on Purim, like Rabbi Shmuel Nagid that lived in Spain, Barbanel living in Spain later. And today, think about the many Jews who excel in every part of life, if it's medicine, if it's like science, if it's the financial system. It's a story of the Jewish spirit to excel whatever you do, in whatever area you are. And nevertheless, keeping your Jewish identity. I think this is the most important story to understand who we are today. Sometimes not so much connected to the land. We live here in Canada, for example, but the story of Yosef inspires us to understand that we are leaders. We think about the community around us, the Jewish community, but not only the Jewish community, the general community, our responsibility to the people that we live with. And it's a very inspiring story because honestly, I could take the what I call the DNA of the story of Yosef and to apply it to almost every place in the world and every Jewish community that ever lived, and you will find the DNA of this story in every single community and time.
He really was a magnificent character. I mean, the Torah speaks in certain adjectival terms about what he possessed, which was wisdom as a young person, which was insight, which was a vision for what Pharaoh had to do in terms of the oncoming plenty and then famine. And not only was he able to rise up as the vizier of Egypt, which really was the guardian and leader of the entire world, but he created an economic plan, which was really, really quite brilliant, wasn't it?
Very brilliant. He saved the economy of Egypt, no question about this one. You spoke before in your introduction about the thinking of Yosef, about the poverty that is going to come to help people. And I think your commentary comes from your own life experience because you did quite the same with poverty, homeless people, and people who are underprivileged in our society. Did Yosef think this way? Not sure. I'll be honest with you.
It's okay. It gives us context where you're at.
Yes, we have a tap machine. Yes, the line is long. There is no line if you have cash. Cash is the future.
Did you hear this? Like we sell donuts to help the Beit Chabad in Sydney. So
Very
today is a donuts day for the Beit Chabad in Australia, which I think is beautiful.
don't eat too many, Rabbi.
I don't, but I will certainly donate.
Very good.
I think we have to help them. As I said, the beauty of the Jewish community that we feel brothers and sisters for people that we never met. And they live on the other side of the world, but aren't we brothers and sisters and feel their pain? And they could come here and we will feel that we know them for generations, which
Yes.
we are.
Yes.
Which we are. Anyway, yes. So I think the most important thing for Yosef was when he planned everything was to protect Pharaoh and his monarchy. Listen, there is nothing that caused change of or toppling and revolt as famine to the masses. Like people who are hungry
Yes.
will do everything to get rid of their monarch or their ruler. And I think Pharaoh himself knew it very well. He was disturbed for a good reason, because if the suspicion hit his mind that maybe things are going to change here, something bad is going to happen, even if he did not understand it the way Joseph explained it to him. But kings are always afraid that things will not go the regular way. They used to the regular way, they feed the people, there is enough food, there is no problem. But what happened, Pharaoh think to himself, if all this is going to change? They will kill me. I'm not going to stay on my throne. And I do believe that this was the reason that immediately, once Joseph thought about an idea, and a brilliant idea, he took him as a viceroy. He should say, this is wonderful. Thank you so much. Here, you got your freedom from the prison. You are going to be a free person, and that's it. He took him because he realized that Joseph had a plan that will save his throne. So I'm not sure that it was for social justice or something like this. It was to keep his political power intact. But nevertheless, I do agree that Yosef understood how to treat the masses. He must provide them food. He must avoid people from collecting for themselves and worrying about the future. What is the tendency? Everyone collect for himself, like sell the food in order to buy diamonds and gold and things like this. Joseph knew all this in unbelievable way and set the whole system to avoid the disaster before, through, and after the famine will come. And no question that he deserves few awards, Nobel Prizes for economy, peace, certainly, and leadership. No question about it.
I'm very curious about your take on Pharaoh himself, more so than what you just stated. Firstly, when they took Joseph out of the dungeon, they shaved him, they dressed him, they got him ready for what is appropriate to stand before a king. And Joseph interpreted Pharaoh's two dreams, and he said they're one. And you need somebody to be able to implement what I'm telling you right now, which is there's going to be a famine in the land. So Pharaoh said, who else can we ask but a person who has God inside of him, who is God-fearing? Very strange response from a Pharaoh in Egypt. And then you find that he puts the ring on his finger and he parades him in the cities so that people should understand he's second in command. Very similar, right, to what happened in Megillat Esther.
Absolutely.
Right?
Almost the same. And
Right.
remember that both of them were children to Rachel, right? Joseph was their son. Mordechai was from the
Yes.
tribe of Binyamin. So there is something about them that prepare them to greatness and to be able to handle a country.
I'm just wondering, Rabbi, from your perspective, and I would argue too that when Moshe Rabbeinu went in and spoke with the Pharaoh then about let our people go, they seem like weak-kneed leaders. They seem like they weren't able to rely on their own strength. Bringing in Joseph was, I understand what you're saying. Here's a man who's has a vision. But to me, it almost reflected a weakness in Pharaoh that he couldn't implement Joseph's plan himself. Do you have any sense of that at all?
I don't think so. I actually think that Pharaoh deserves a great admiration for doing something like this, to realize that he has a person which is greater than him in terms of his ability to organize the country. Remember, the power of Egypt was always by food, abundance of food. They never relied on rain. They never relied on shortage, had to prepare for shortages. Life in Egypt were the best in the world.
Yes. Yes.
Because once you have like a constant supply of food, you don't have to worry about anything else. You can build an army. You can have like culture. You can do great things with the money you accumulate. When everything was shaking because of famine, Pharaoh realized that he doesn't know what to do. And by the way, I do believe that that's why none of the sages around Pharaoh knew what Pharaoh dreams meant. The Egyptian could not think that one day the Nile is going to reduce its water and a famine is going to be in Egypt. They simply, it was not in their dictionary, so to speak. Joseph came from the land of Canaan, situation of famine, lack of rain, the need to store things for better times, in better times for bad times. He knew about it. He knew about it. So he was the one who could think about situation that the Egyptians couldn't. And Pharaoh realized it. And I think that if Pharaoh would try to handle it himself, he will fail because they had no idea what to do in a situation like this. While they realized, he realized that Pharaoh, that Joseph will be able to do it. Now, I want to say something that sometimes we don't pay attention to. See how smart Joseph was. With his suggestion, he said to Pharaoh, please appoint your officers to handle the situation.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure that Joseph did here something quite magnificent because he think about all the people in this, situation, and he says to himself, okay, all these people around me, they are now very afraid. I'm going to have the power. Pharaoh is going to say, you guys are like Dumbos. I don't need you around. I have this young person. He is going to handle Egypt. And Joseph himself start to imagine the fear in the heart of all the officers that they are now afraid to their positions. So how Joseph mitigate their fear? He said, you, Pharaoh, are going to point all these people to have a higher position. Now they are going to be responsible for all the food. They are going to handle the distribution and so on. Baruch Hashem. No one is going to fire them. They are going to have good jobs. They will accept it because otherwise they would argue that Mata somech al hayeled hazeh, you really trust this guy. But once they understood that their position is safe, they accepted it and backed up Yosef with his interpretation to the dreams.
You make an excellent point, and I would add to that about being able to work with the current leadership at that time and to assuage their fears. The Torah also says very interestingly that once Pharaoh appointed Joseph into second in command, that what did Joseph do? He went out into the nation and he met with the people. And I think that the downfall of many politicians, if you will, is that they stay in their ivory tower. He didn't do that.
This is an excellent point. And when I talk about our previous podcast with my son Nathaniel, he made an excellent point. He said that maybe this is a reason why Joseph had to spend lots of time in the prison.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot be a leader if you are only the high echelon of society. In order to be an authentic leader, you have to know also the criminals, the people who live low life. Then you get a good understanding of what does it mean to be a leader of a nation. Because the nation are not only the highest percent of society, there will be much higher percentage of low life people. And Joseph, after spending lots of time in the prison, he knew exactly what that mean.
Rabbi, something happens in the Parsha which is reflective of world leadership and its responsibilities to everyone. In other words, we share this planet all on the same clock. What can we do for one another? Yaakov says, we have a famine in the land here as well. And we need to go down to Egypt and get some food because I understand there's a plan there of distribution of grains and so on, which will help us. So inherent to that is the idea that Egypt was prepared to help other nations or other places in the world. I want to extend that for my real point in question is that the brothers indeed go down to Egypt. And then we are introduced to what we call in Aramaic a whole shakla v'taryag, a whole back and forth as to what happens to the brothers. And they actually go and they meet with Joseph. And he sends them back to their father. He said, bring me your youngest brother. And there's a whole explanation and narrative, very creative, very dramatic as to what happens with them and through them. Well, what's going on here? What is the Torah telling us?
Okay, you ask about the entire parsha. We could spend few podcasts.
Yeah, basically.
But I want to say one thing, and I will repeat what I said before. Avrum, you are too romantic. You see the help of Egypt to other countries, the kindness, out of the way, a way of thinking to help people in other countries. To me, it's a political consideration. If Egypt would not share its wealth with other countries, very, very soon they will find themselves in a war. Because you cannot be in Canaan, the Hivites, the Jebusite, all these people like dying in hunger, and they know that in Egypt there is food. I'll tell you exactly what they will do. They will invade or try to invade the country. And when Paro think about it, like famine, lack of food or shortage of food, and wars, this is really shaking his position very, very much. So Joseph come with an idea. We are going to sustain, as long as I know that I'm not going to die in hunger, I will not initiate a war against a neighboring country. So part of keeping the stability of the country, he said, let's solve it in a peaceful way. Let's sell him our wealth. And this worked. They had no a problem of wars. Now, how do I know that? Because think about what Joseph blamed the brothers for. You are spies. Well, when do you send spies to another country? When you are planning a war. So this was always in the air that neighboring countries, if the crisis in their countries is going to be too big, they are going to try and to invade and to fight Egypt in order to get their food. And Joseph, and apparently this was the atmosphere all over. Like there was an atmosphere of war. There was a fear that other countries will invade Egypt. And that's exactly what Yosef tried to avoid. So he blamed them for being spies. You can understand from this blame that there was a fear of spies indeed. And again, I don't think it's about like the kindness of Pharaoh so much as his will to keep his power.
Rabbi, I think you're not enough of a romantic, quite frankly. When you study the story of Avraham and he leaves God after his Brit Milah, God came to visit him and he goes to help the strangers. That wasn't a political move, was it? Wasn't it an expression of chesed? It was chesed.
This was not. This was commitment, loyalty to his deceased brother Haran, and who died for his ideology. And I think that for Abraham, that was the main reason why when Lot, his nephew, was in trouble, he endangered himself in order to save him. This was a most heroic, the greatest bravery possible, no question. Here, I will be as romantic as you.
Thank you.
I think Paro was a politician. And by the way, if we wait few weeks, we are going to read about this politician who forget everything that Joseph did, because now the situation was different, and maybe we will talk about it in another parsha. So to me, Paro is a combination of politics and unwillingness to give up any of his power. And Yosef, the loyal viceroy, used this fear of Paro in order to organize his own affair with the brothers, afterwards bringing his family to Egypt. So Yosef was a very powerful, charismatic leader qualities, who knew how to navigate the situation and how to lead the situation to serve his purposes. This is really like a great combination of leadership, political power, and values. So Yosef indeed represents the style of Jewish leadership that indeed combine all of this. Talent, unbelievable talent,
Yes.
a sense of responsibility, and always thinking about your brothers.
Rabbi, just to stay on this thought, the Torah says, "V'chola aretz ba'u Mitzrayma," that the entire world came to Egypt. The Ramban on this pasuk, on this phrase, says Egypt becomes the moral steward, not merely a political power. Perhaps he was more romantic. The Midrash says God creates interdependence so nations cannot survive in isolation. And I will tell you from my own experience in humanitarian work, working with Israel Aid, Israeli humanitarian organizations that work throughout the world when there's crises, that there's a very strong Kiddush Hashem component to it,
Absolutely.
or at least very similar to what you're saying, the concept of Darchei Shalom, that you help the other. Why? So that you can create peace with them. There is a practical component to it as well. Absolutely.
I do agree. I do agree. And I think that being loyal to the Jewish community does not mean, as some people very rudely say here, oh, they are hearted with Israel. They are not real citizen of the United States. This is such a lie. Yes, of course, we have commitment to our brothers and sisters in Israel, but go to every university here, to the opera house, to to the hospitals here. All of them are carrying the names of Jews who wanted it, not only for their brothers and sisters, but really gratitude for the community who hosted us in the most difficult times that the Jewish people had. We do it with full heart, really to help the community around us, and not only for altruistic reasons and to make sure that we are safe. No, we are not this kind of people that think about ourselves and therefore helping others. We helping others because we want to help others. And if as a result someone will remember it in a positive way, this will be wonderful. But let me tell you, I think that the story in the Torah is telling us that we should not expect this gratitude, because at a certain point, and this is a story of the slavery that takes place in the book of Exodus. The same political power faced a new situation. Listen, Joseph took all the land. Yes, he sustained Egypt. He saved them for 100% death in the hunger. But at the end of the day, few generations later, the Egyptians wake up. They have no land. They have no private property. And I can assure you, 100%, what did they say?
Yes.
Oh, there was a Jew, a Joseph, who took everything from us. They don't tell their children and other parts of the society that actually he saved them, and they turned everything against them. And then they said something very simple. Oh, he slaved us. He took the property from us. We are going to do exactly the same to them. And this is a sad part of Jewish history. No matter how much you are going to help, there will be people who will turn it against you. And this is really, really sad, unfortunately.
Yeah, I just want to add in conclusion that when you take a look at free countries, if you will, more sophisticated countries that have an understanding of helping all citizens and making sure that everybody is fed. When you take a look at Israel, the number of programs within Israel itself, food banks and organizations that are there for the impoverished in Israel and the hungry in Israel, of which unfortunately there are many, is huge. And I know because I've worked with many of them. And it's fascinating to see the planning and the preparation that goes into gathering the food from many regular citizens who have resources, and then distributing it and giving people the kavod. In Judaism, we say that, one of the highest forms of if tzedakah is you don't know who gives and you don't know who accepts it. It's very anonymous, but it's rampant in Israel. It's also rampant in Canada. There's a lot of distribution of food to the poor. And I think accolades to us for having that consciousness, for having that wherewithal.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Were you ever involved in such things in Israel?
Well, here in school, we have like campaign after campaign helping Israel, helping the Jews of Toronto, helping the people of Toronto, not only Jews. And students here collect all the time. Every time I just enter the school, what is this rally? What is this drive? This is like a toy drives. And even before Christmas, they give to people who are in need, not only the Hanukkah toys and the Hanukkah guild. Every single week, there is a different drive to help the world.
Would you say Chesed in your school is one of the most powerful pillars that it stands upon?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah. There's an old saying that if you meet a Jew who's not kind, you have to question his Jewishness, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I never met a Jew who is not inheritedly kind. It just sometimes it's a little bit take more time to open his heart, but when you open his heart,
it's there.
You find like a safe with all kinds of treasures.
Rabbi, in conclusion, I'd like to read a AI poem of which I know you love so much. Miketz, Dreams in a Hungry World. At the end of waiting, Miketz, a king dreams. Full cows rise from the Nile, then thin ones follow, devouring without being filled, a dream we still inhabit. From a prison comes a quiet voice. There will be abundance. There will be famine. What matters is what we do before the hunger arrives. Joseph plans. He thinks of mouths not yet empty. Grain is gathered measure by measure until storehouses become promises. All the world came to Egypt for food. Hunger erased borders. This year they're reading Tastes of Ash. In Sydney, light was met with violence, candles with weapons, a gathering shattered. And elsewhere, everywhere, hunger spreads without sound. Empty bowls, parents counting days. Millions living Pharaoh's dream without Joseph. Miketz will not let us look away. Famine is not fate. Violence is not inevitable. Leadership is foresight with compassion, power that prepares so others may live. The dream has been told, the warning given. Now the future waits for our response. I like our new series, Torah in Real Time. I like what we're doing with it, and I think we're figuring it out.
Very good.
It's very good. Rabbi, I want to wish you you and your family Chag Sameach, and all of our friends out there, all Jewish people. I know that you're
from all over the world.
Amen. Amen. I know that you'll be traveling a little bit during your break. I wish you Nasiya Tova.
Thank you.
I want to thank you once again for bringing such rich and meaningful Torah to our viewers and listeners. For me, it's always like a chavruta, what we do here. And I'm always very grateful for it. Yeshikoch, you did a wonderful job. Thank you.
Thank you, Avrum. And
ladies and gentlemen,
beautiful and Hanukkah full with light.
Amen. Amen. Illuminate your lives. And remember, it's that one candle can light millions of other candles, and it never diminishes the original one. That is the Jewish neshama, right? That is the Jewish neshama. Chag Sameach to everybody. Thank you so much for listening and for watching. We're very grateful. And we wish all of you peace and that the Jewish people should be safe always. Things should be good for us and for the world. Zeigazint, as my mother used to say. We'll see you again next week. Thank you.